Ambassador David Comissiong, you are the ambassador of Barbados to the Caribbean Community CARICOM and to the Association of Caribbean States, ACS. You are also a founder member of the Caribbean Pan-African Network, CPAN, the Clement Pain Movement of Barbados, the Caribbean chapter of the International Network in Defense of Humanity, and the Global African Congress, GAC, and was an architect and the first director of the Barbados Government's Commission for Pan-African Affairs, CPAA. You have focused some of your work on educating people on the richness of Black history. Can you please tell us more on the role of education in Pan-Africanism? Sir, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Brothers and sisters, I want to begin by invoking the names and spirits of such giants of Pan-Africanism as Emperor Jean-Jacques Dessalines of Haiti, Edward Wilmot Blyden, Henry Sylvester Williams, W.E.B. Du Bois, the Right Excellent Marcus Mosiah Garvey, Amy Jakes Garvey, Arnold Ford, C.L.R. James, George Padmore, Kwame Nkrumah, Emperor Haile Selassie, Julius Nyerere, Sheikh Anta Diop, Kwame Ture, and Bob Marley. These are the shoulders on which we stand. Pan-Africanism has a long history, going back centuries, but most relevant to our discussion of Pan-Africanism at this permanent forum on people of African descent is the most recent phase of Pan-Africanism, the phase of state or nation-centered Pan-Africanism, which was launched with Ghana's attainment of independence in 1957 and was consolidated with the establishment of the Organization of African Unity in 1963. Since those early days, state or nation-centered Pan-Africanism has had a checkered history. There have been successes, but failures. There have been victories, but there have also been defeats. But it behoves us to be ever mindful of the overall upward trajectory of state-centered Pan-Africanism and of such historic monuments of achievement as, for example, the establishment in the Caribbean of the Caribbean Free Trade Association in 1965 and its evolution into CARICOM by 1973, the historic Angolan and Cuban military victory at the Battle of Ceuta Carnival, the completion of the decolonization of the African continent, the victory over South African apartheid, the founding of the African Union, the UN World Conference Against Racism and its Durban Declaration and Program of Action, the launch of the AU's Sixth Region Initiative, the launch of CARICOM's campaign for reparatory justice, and of course, the establishment of this UN Permanent Forum on People of African Descent. The point I'm making is that even though sometimes we are very critical about ourselves and about our failures, we need to keep in mind that in the overarching scheme of things, we are going forward and making progress. The long history of Pan-Africanism has surely taught us that Pan-Africanism is our most potent defensive weapon and our most powerful tool of development. And the message I bring from the Caribbean community is that we in the Caribbean have embraced the idea that our present and future as Caribbean people and nations are ultimately bound up with the continent of Africa and with the African Union. We are clear, that's our future. In September of 2021, the governments of CARICOM and the AU made history by staging the inaugural Africa CARICOM Heads of Government Summit. And ever since then, there has been a major follow-up centered around the presence and operations of the African Export-Import Bank in the Caribbean. In addition, Caribbean nations are increasingly establishing embassies on the African continent. My own country of Barbados, over the past 2 years, we have established embassies in Ghana and Kenya and an honorary consulate office in Rwanda. Furthermore, we are determined to extend the African continent's Pan-African payments and settlement system to the Caribbean and to work towards establishing a linkage between the African continental free trade area and our own CARICOM single market and economy. And in February of this year, the African Union heads of state passed a resolution committing the AU to the pursuit of reparations for European-imposed African enslavement and to partnering with CARICOM in pursuing the reparations campaign. So there are many successes. But even while we celebrate these pleasing recent developments, we must be mindful of crisis situations and existential challenges that demand our collective attention and action as an African people. I refer to such matters as the prolonged crisis that has engulfed the Caribbean nation of Haiti, much of it caused by a long-standing neo-colonialist campaign against the world's first black republic. There's also cause for concern on the African continent, the several military conflicts that are bedeviling our continent. In the Sudan, in Ethiopia, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, military coups in West Africa, and the list goes on. Then there's the climate crisis that is threatening the stability and even the long-term viability of so many Caribbean and African nations. And more generally, there's the continuing racist denigration of black and African people worldwide, the institutionalized violence and systematic denial of human rights that so many of our people are subjected to, particularly when they constitute racial minorities in white majority societies. And finally, the continued existence of colonialism and European colonies in our regions, especially in our Caribbean region. We are still the most colonized region, and we need to do something about it. So I want to conclude by urging us to use this UN space to discuss how African and Caribbean governments, for example, can be more engaged with each other in dealing with critical internal issues. There's no reason why the governments of the African Union should not be partnering with the governments of CARICOM in working out and implementing with the people of Haiti a solution to the crisis in that heroic Caribbean nation. Similarly, the statesmen of CARICOM should be sitting in council with their AU peers and lending their insights, experience, and resources to the task of peacemaking and nation building in Africa. The Permanent Forum can urge this greater collaboration and solidarity and partnership, can urge this upon our Caribbean and African and black governments across the globe. Let us also use this space to discuss how the entirety of global Africa can rally around and support the Bridgetown Initiative, that cutting-edge, revolutionary plan that was crafted in Barbados last year to fundamentally reform the inherently unjust and unequal global economic and financial system, thereby bringing relief and much-needed support to the black and brown nations and people of this world. I urge everyone to research the Bridgetown Initiative and let us rally around it. And finally, yes, please let this permanent forum take the lead in crafting a United Nations declaration on the promotion, protection, and full respect for the human rights of people of African descent. But in doing so, please remember that you would be building upon the historic work of many of the past stalwarts and champions of Pan-Africanism, most notably the Right Excellent Marcus Mosiah Garvey and his 1920 Declaration of the Rights of the Negro Peoples of the World. Madam Chair, brothers and sisters, on behalf of the government and people of Barbados, and also on behalf of our Caribbean community, I extend our very best wishes to the members of this permanent forum. We wish you every possible success and pledge our committed and continuing solidarity and support. I thank you very much.